Yes, come on.
Please, no.
Come on.
No.
I said please.
Prepare to unleash your darkest fears with Prime Video's top 10 scary horror movies. From heart-pounding scares to twisted tales of terror, these disturbing selections will haunt your dreams. Number 10, Black Mountainside.
I don't know, maybe it was an animal.
For Christ's sake, that was no animal.
When was the last time you slept?
I'm not sure.
In the dead of winter, a team of archaeologists stationed in the snowy wilderness of northern Canada uncover a strange, ancient structure buried beneath the ice, one that predates known civilization. As they study the find, their communications go silent, their supplies dwindle, and tensions erupt into suspicion and dread. One by one, the men begin to succumb to violent hallucinations and unexplainable sickness as something primal and unspoken awakens from the frozen earth. Cut off from the world, their reality fractures under the weight of an invisible, malevolent presence that feeds on isolation and fear. With no escape from the cold or from each other, survival becomes a mind-bending descent into madness. Number 9, Johnny Frank Garrett's Last Word.
You can't kill me. I will live in your nightmares.
This ends tonight.
On Halloween night in 1981, a Catholic nun is found murdered in Amarillo, Texas. Within days, 18-year-old Johnny Frank Garrett is arrested, tried, and sentenced to death under a cloud of flawed evidence and public hysteria. Before his execution, Garrett writes a final, furious letter proclaiming his innocence and placing a deadly curse on everyone involved in his conviction. Soon after, a chain of strange and violent deaths begins claiming the jurors, lawyers, and officials tied to the case. As fear spreads, one man tries to unravel the truth behind the supernatural vengeance that seems to stalk them all. Blending Southern Gothic horror with courtroom dread, the film explores how guilt festers long after the verdict is read. Number 8, The Night Watchmen.
Let's go kill some dead people.
A crew of slack-jawed overnight security guards at a Baltimore newspaper office are forced to test their nerve when a coffin containing the body of a famous clown arrives by mistake. The dead clown, Blimpo, awakens as a vampire and unleashes a plague of undead upon the building, turning staff and hapless delivery men alike into ravenous creatures. With daylight far off and exits blocked, the guards, along with a rookie forced into hazing rituals and a tenacious reporter, must band together to survive the vampiric horde and escape the nightmare they unknowingly unleashed. Equal parts campy horror and absurd comedy, The Night Watchman thrives on its off-kilter energy, grotesque humor, and never-ending vampire attacks. Number 7, The Russian Sleep Experiment.
You gentlemen are about to undergo an experiment that will benefit the soldiers of the Soviet Union.
In a clandestine Soviet facility during the darkest days of state secrecy, 5 political prisoners are sealed inside a hermetic gas chamber and dosed with an experimental stimulant meant to eradicate the need for sleep. What begins as scientific hubris soon twists into a grotesque descent. The inmates scream, claw at their flesh, and spiral into madness under the relentless pressure of enforced wakefulness. As the days stretch on, they become monstrous parodies of themselves. Paranoia, hallucinations, and grotesque transformations erode any trace of humanity left. The walls between sanity and horror collapse in that confined hellscape. The Russian Sleep Experiment channels whispered nightmares of science gone wrong, and each moment feels like teetering on the edge of an abyss. Number 6, Deadbirds.
Need to get out of here. We're not leaving here without the gold.
Where did you put the body?
A band of Confederate deserters fresh from a violent bank heist flees into the depths of the American Civil War and seeks refuge in a desolate, centuries-old plantation. As night descends and a storm brews, the house's haunted legacy stirs. They discover a crucified scarecrow, hear phantom children crying, and confront demonic apparitions born from twisted rituals. Paranoia fractures the group. Alliances crumble as one by one they vanish, dragged into wells, walls, and darkness. Past sins pulse in every shadow as if the land itself demands blood. Mixing Western grit with occult dread, Deadbirds wrings terror from isolation and moral decay. Directed by Alex Turner, it roots its horror in guilt, madness, and the haunted echoes of a cursed history. Before we move to number 5, I want to ask you something. I recently started a new channel called VHSscreams. It's where I tell true, terrifying stories mixed with chilling fiction, all in first person. so you feel like you're living the nightmare yourself. Each story pulls you deeper. The sounds, the fear, the moments that stay with you long after it's over. It would honestly mean the world if you checked it out. The link's in the description and at the end of this video. Only if you'd like to. No pressure. Just if you want to step a little further into the dark with me. Number 5. Hobo with a Shotgun.
A hobo with a shotgun.
A nameless drifter riding into Hopetown by boxcar dreams of gathering $50 to buy a lawnmower and start a simple life. Instead, he finds the city overrun by sadistic crime lord Drake and his brutal sons, who terrorize the homeless, prostitutes, and powerless alike. When he intervenes to protect a young prostitute, Abby, he becomes a target of the town's corruption, enduring torture, betrayal, and violence that carves scum into his chest. Driven by rage and moral ferocity, he arms himself with a shotgun and embarks on a bloody crusade, toppling thugs, corrupt cops, and even demonic enforcers in a frenzy of vigilante justice. Hobo with a Shotgun revels in over-the-top carnage and pulp energy, channeling grindhouse fury through neon gore and righteous wrath. Number 4. Becky.
For a key?
It's worth much more than that.
Becky! You're clearly a special girl!
A grieving 13-year-old Becky hopes a weekend at her family's lake house will mend her fractured bond with her father. But their escape turns nightmarish when a gang of ruthless convicts, led by a neo-Nazi named Dominic, escape custody and storm their sanctuary, taking everyone hostage in a violent siege. As death stalks every hallway, Becky draws on secret reserves of resourcefulness and rage. Booby traps, guerrilla tactics, and sheer ferocity become her tools of survival. Between desperation and vengeance, she transforms from prey into predator, fighting with the sharpness of a child pushed to the edge. Becky pulses with raw tension and slasher grit, magnified by the twisted ideology of its villains and the fierce innocence of its heroine. Number 3. The Horseman.
What should have rushed you?
After the tragic drug-related death of his teenage daughter, Christian receives a disturbing video implicating men tied to her exploitation. Consumed by grief and rage, he sets out on a ruthless crusade of vengeance, hunting down each person he holds responsible. Along the way, he picks up Alice, a lonely hitchhiker who bears a haunting resemblance to his daughter. Their fragile bond intensifies the father's single-minded mission, yet her presence also forces him to confront what remains of his humanity. As bodies trail behind him, the line between justice and obsession obliterates. The Horseman is a bleak, merciless thriller about retribution, identity, and devastation. Number 2. Qodrat.
Assalamu alaikum, Ustad Qodrat.
Years after a failed exorcism claimed the life of his own son, Ustad Qodrat returns to the Islamic boarding school where his faith once thrived, only to find a village shrouded in terror. Children scream in tongues, crops rot in the fields, and whispers of the demon Aswala rise again, echoes of a past that won't stay buried. Among the afflicted is a boy bearing his son's name, forcing Qodrat to face the ghost of his greatest failure. As darkness spreads, he arms himself with sacred verses and spiritual conviction, stepping into a battle that will test the strength of his soul. Possession is only the beginning. Redemption demands blood and belief. Qodrat is a gripping fusion of religious horror and personal reckoning. Number 1. The Battery. Ben and Mickey are former baseball teammates navigating the skeletal remains of New England after a zombie apocalypse. As they scavenge roads and forests, Ben embraces ruthless survival, while Mickey yearns for a shred of the life they once knew. A bed, music, connection. Their debates flare when they intercept a radio transmission from a group called The Orchard, tempting Mickey with hope, while Ben sees only danger and trust. When they explore an abandoned house and inconsistencies arise, the tension between them strains to breaking. In a world ruled by the undead, the greatest threat may be friendship left unguarded. The Battery uses sparse kills and long silences to build dread, focusing on character over carnage. It's a quiet, relentless journey through lost survival and fractured bonds. Here are 4 other movies you have to see. Torn Hearts.
To get to you too.
Two ambitious country singers travel to the home of their reclusive music idol, hoping to collaborate on a song that will launch their careers. What begins as an inspiring visit quickly turns sinister as the legendary star manipulates them against each other. Trapped in a maze of jealousy, obsession, and hidden trauma, the women must decide how far they're willing to go for fame. Humane.
You think I'm the bad guy, but I'm doing important work to save the planet.
In a collapsing future world plagued by environmental disaster, the government enforces population control through voluntary euthanasia. After a family dinner, a patriarch announces he has chosen to sacrifice himself. But when he suddenly backs out, chaos erupts. His adult children are left to face the consequences, triggering a twisted, deadly battle of morals and survival. Run, sweetheart, run.
What are you?
A single mother agrees to a blind date arranged by her boss, only for the evening to spiral into a nightmare of violence and pursuit. Her charming date reveals himself as a sadistic predator who enjoys hunting women through the streets of Los Angeles. With no one to trust and her phone disabled, she must rely on instinct and endurance to survive the night. Landmine goes click.
Model SMI 35 landmine.
If he moves, we all die.
There wasn't anybody to help for miles.
I can't move.
While backpacking in the Georgian wilderness, a young man steps on a landmine and is forced to remain frozen or face certain death. As he waits for help, an unsettling local man arrives and turns the situation into a twisted power play. Helpless, his friend and fiancé become pawns in a psychological and physical game of degradation.